All right, what is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another Q7 Overland build video. Today we're going to be building on a little bit more of the lighting setup that I do have on the Q7 right now, and it is going to be improving aside from the sick Christmas lights I currently have on the car right now, and that is going to be with the help of the guys over at Auxbeam, because today we are going to be installing a switch panel to clean things up in the Q7. So we've got their brand new AS600 kit that they just sent out to us. So big shout out to Auxbeam. And I actually do already have it mounted in the car because I was just kind of fiddling around with stuff. So we've got their slim 6-button control panel already mounted up in the Q7 because I wanted to see where it was going to go. And we're going to be using that going forward to control all of the lighting and hopefully my off-road air compressor and some other goodies as we progressively build the Q7 a little bit more. But today I'm going to show you guys how simple this kit is to install, because originally I did have the light bar hooked up to a really cheap, crappy wiring harness that literally failed 2 weeks into me having it. And I said, you know what, screw it. I really want to get something that is hopefully going to last and has a lot better build quality. So we picked up this guy so that we can have a system that's not only pretty redundant, super well made, it seems, very small unit, really clean, and is going to be able to support a whole bunch of more modifications, like I said, as we go on, and it's all in one place. So without me yapping on too much longer, I'm going to show you guys not only how simple it is to install on any vehicle, but how simple it is to actually install on the Q7. So I'm going to get you guys on the tripod and we're going to start hooking this guy up and get this running, and hopefully, and I will time it. We'll look at our watch now. It is 4:21 p.m. and this is with me filming. We'll see how quickly we can do this. So here we go. So the first thing I'm actually going to do is I'm going to go ahead and run the wire to the controller. Now this is definitely going to be the most difficult part because as you guys can see here, the Q7 is lucky enough to have a battery hookup right in the engine bay where we're going to be mounting the controller, and also a factory ground as well. And since I already have my light bar wiring ran and it was existing already, it's going to be super easy to hook that into the box. So that being said, the next naturally hard part is going to be running the controller wire. Now, I did originally have the wire for the switch to the light bars now ran through the firewall behind the brake reservoir here, which is where the brake booster also is, and it was a fun time getting that in there. So I'm going to show you guys kind of where I ran that to, and then we'll get that out to here and we'll plug it into the box and get all of the wiring and everything set up. So here we go. So where we're going to be going, if you've got a Q7 and you're kind of following along here, is down in the back. So we have the brake reservoir here. We're going to be going to the left of that, underneath the wiper arm linkage. So hopefully I can get a clear shot of this. Got my light, wherever the hell that just ended up, which I have no idea. If we come up here, this is underneath the wiper cowl. This is actually such a brutal thing to show. So there's this little grommet down in here that I don't know if you can see, and you see the wires going into that little nipple. So that is underneath the wiper arms, like right here. You basically have to stick your hand down in between here and then cut that little end off and then shove whatever wire you're gonna run through. Good thing we only have one control wire because running a whole bunch of switches wires to there would suck. And then that comes out in the car. Wire goes up here and then it runs to that. See if I can zoom in now. It comes out that grommet right there. Oop. And then down, but we're gonna tuck it right up along here with this panel, and it's gonna hook in behind here. Okay, so now basically everything else that we're gonna do, we're gonna be able to do right here. So we got a couple things we have to figure out here. So number one, we gotta mount this 60 amp fuse. So this guy, I gotta kind of figure out where I wanna mount this. I kind of wanted to keep things really simple and maybe mount it to the box underneath. But that kind of defeats the purpose as far as us being able to go in and flip the switch as we need. But so I'm not entirely sure where we're gonna mount that. We'll figure that out. Next, obviously we have to run our ground wire, our battery wire, and then our wire from the switch to the actual box. So that'll be the next thing. And behind here, I'm actually gonna take this connector off right now. So I have some more space to work with, and I'll hook that back up when we're done here, just so you guys can kind of see what we're doing. Okay, so we're not gonna fully hook everything up right away. We're just gonna kind of do a little bit of a test run here to just make sure things work initially. So I'm gonna throw 1 into 5 here, that into there. Okay, and then I'm gonna quickly slap our controller on because we want to make sure everything works before we tuck it all together here. Okay, so we've got it all connected. I've determined that grounding it off this little frame or like bracket isn't good enough, so I've actually grounded it to this large post right here, down in here, because that actually goes like deep into the chassis and it's the perfect bolt hole size for the grounding strap that they give you. And that's just under the fuel filter here. I'm gonna clean this all up and make this look a lot nicer in a minute, but I just wanna show you guys that it works now. And the Addifuse they also supply isn't big enough to fit, they're tall enough, I should say, to fit in any of the slots in here. So I actually have to go get a different one. So I'm gonna go pick one of those up, but we do have it working now. So I'm just gonna show you guys. And obviously the controller position isn't in a great spot with the shifter in the way, but there are my yellow light bar lights, my high beam, and I can put both of them on at the same time, and then you can hit this little red button here. It'll temporarily shut them off, turn it back on, and it fires on both of them again. Super bright as well, so I'm gonna shut that off. And then yeah, I'm gonna clean this all up a little bit so I can at least drive to go get an Addifuse that's gonna fit. And then yeah, I'll show you guys kind of the finished product of all the wiring and everything, because it is kind of simple how it is in here, and then we'll go from there. All right, so it's a little bit over, I want to say maybe 2 weeks later since I finished the install of the Auxbeam. Now the whole install probably took me a total of, I want to say 2.5 hours. I set my timer up and then I forgot that it was running, and so I didn't stop it in time. But I'll show you the whole setup so far because we are done. Everything is good to go. I should probably use a flashlight. So we have it in its final mounting place right here. So as you can see, it's mounted to the original bracket that the SCR modules and whatnot, or I guess the O2 sensor boxes, whatever was mounted here originally in the Q7, with our 60 amp fuse with the power cable running to the jump start post, as this provides constant 12 volt. So you technically could wire your ignition, your quote unquote ignition source for the Auxbeam sensor to this as well, if you wanted to be able to run your light bars or whatever you have hooked up with your battery off. I'm going to talk about that in a second. And then in here, we have all the wiring for our light bar running through this little notch I made in the firewall / frame right here, running up. The weather stripping for the Q7, this will be different for everybody depending on how you're going to install your Auxbeam stuff. And then the actual wire itself that runs to the panel runs through that place I showed you, which is now all covered up by the rain cowl. So I can't exactly show you guys where that runs to now that it's all assembled, but trust me, as you saw in the iPhone video, it is in there. And I'll quickly show you guys all the wiring in the box as well, so you can see kind of just how simple it is. Make it very clean. I just have everything but the remote antenna hooked up still. So we've got light bar, white, yellow, and then our side lights and everything hooked up in there. But now it all works and it's awesome. It's all tidy and everything in here. It's pretty sweet. As you guys saw, it's very simple. Like, I could have definitely probably made this setup a whole lot cleaner than I did, but for what I need and the possibility that I'm constantly going to be adding stuff to the Auxbeam setup, for right now, that's as good as I need it. And there you go. That's all the space it takes up. It's really, really that small. If it didn't have a big label on it, you probably wouldn't even know it was there. But one thing I will say that is one of my biggest gripes about the Auxbeam setup is that the whole reason I bought this specific unit was because it had Bluetooth and a remote. So now, if we go into the switch panel app itself, so you're supposed to be able to click the Bluetooth, turn your Bluetooth on, and connect to the switch panel, and essentially be able to sit here and control it and mess around with it, but only when the car is on or when your ignition is on, which is kind of interesting. And I wish that Auxbeam maybe could do like a patch or something with these. And so that if you were like away from the vehicle, you could use the app and like hit the buttons or whatever and actually have it come on when you're not physically having to be near the vehicle. Now, it does give you a remote that does the same thing and operates the same, where it actually won't turn anything on without the ignition being on. So I'll show you now with the ignition on what this app is capable of doing, because it actually can do a lot of cool things. With the car on, we're actually able to kind of control a lot of different things with the app itself. Connect it. So now we're connected. It was literally that fast. So now I'm going to go ahead and turn the light bar on. Like that. And I'm just going to put the phone away and I'll show you guys what we're able to do. So we can actually also increase the brightness of the panel and like dim it right down, almost all the way off. We can also mess around and change the color of it on the app, which is pretty cool. I just have it set to like the factory red so that it kind of looks more like OEM. And then we can also go in and we can change the icons and everything of certain like buttons and stuff. So if I wanted to change whatever the amber button to, I don't know, we'll just change it to the number 2. It would then on the app show differently like it does now. And if I turn it, if I go back to the color menu, I can turn it back on and it'll light up there. And it's lit up outside as well. So there's a bunch of like different functions and stuff you can do in here. It's very customizable, which is cool. Like I said, the one thing that does bother me is the fact that you can't actually use the app when the car is off, which is kind of annoying. That was one of the big reasons I wanted it, so that if I'm like, you know, sitting away from the car, like the range on the Bluetooth is really good, but it's only really good when the car's on. So if I'm sitting away from the vehicle and I need like an additional light turned on or something because I'm trying to figure out a situation, it would be nice to be able to just whip out my phone and do it, or use the controller and do it, but it doesn't activate unless you have the ignition wire set to a constant 12 volt versus not, you know what I mean? Kind of annoying, but you can work around it, and maybe they might have that as a setting enabled in here at some point. That would be really cool. But we can also go ahead and change these to certain functions. So you have toggle, which is classic, like on and off. So if I set the amber to toggle, I click it and it stays on. Sweet. And I can also set it to momentary. So if I click it, now see the light is blue, which means it's on momentary. And if I let go, it immediately turns off. So that'd be good for like a horn if you wanted to put train horns on your Q7, which I might at some point. And then we have my personal favorite, which I call the piss off button. And so if you have your tailgaters or someone who's driving really slow in the left lane, you can go ahead and fire it right onto pulsed mode and really piss them off. And that shows up as green on here, which is really cool. Now, I'm going to show you guys something else, because you can also fire all your lights on. And then if you're, whatever, you got your light bars on, you see a cop coming around the corner, oh no, I got to turn them all off really fast. You hit the red button and everything goes off. I got side lights and everything now too, which is really cool. Don't know if you can see it lighting up over there. But yeah, lots of functionality in the app. You can also do like groupings and stuff. So you can have certain buttons turn on multiple things, etc. It all depends on how many, obviously, switch positions that you have in the actual relay unit itself. But tons of things, lots of functionality in the app for literally just being a light bar controller. They also got the whole like user guide in here. It does look very, I don't know what the right word for it is, but everything in here to walk you through how to like do all the groups and everything is built into the app, which is super cool. There you guys go. It's pretty sweet. It looks really good. Like I said, I'm a Volkswagen guy, so having this mounted in like an Audi Q7 is really weird. Like there's no good place to put it, but being able to have something that is now very slim compared to the usual like large brick style switch panels that you've seen like Tacomas and everything, and like Auxbeam has those too. But this new slim style, with also being able to mess around with all the settings and customize stuff the way that you want with the app, is super helpful. It's super awesome. Shout out to Auxbeam for this one. I really like it. We're going to have a lot more accessories on the car. As you saw, we do have the light bar and the exterior lights that I use for like camping and everything. We're going to have onboard air at some point hooked up to the Auxbeam as well. And like I said, probably a train horn to keep things funny and entertaining in my lifted Q7. But there you go, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you liked the install of the Auxbeam switch panel in today's video. If you want to see any more mods on the Q7, please let me know, because I am doing tons of stuff to this. We've got some off-road gear coming. In the 2 weeks it took me to film the end of this video, I did mess up the front end of the Q7, so you guys will see that video soon. soon with some more off-roading clips, because I know you guys like that so far. But anyways, peace out. I will see you in the next video.